All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the third part of the show, we're going to talk about Tyreek Hill and his comments on Tua Tagovailoa's contract situation. We'll talk about what Tyreek Hill said. And he said that Tua deserves to be one of the highest paid quarterbacks. So let's get into that. And he said, for people to sit here and try to discredit Tua and say he's not deserving of a contract is wild to me. A lot of guys on the team understand his value and understand that we need him. We need his leadership. We need the mindset that he brings into each and every week. It's there. It's like Terminator almost. Man, I feel like he should be one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league. And he also said for Tua's development and where he's come from and where he is now, that should speak volumes to a lot of people. Like a lot of people can say, oh, he has Coach Mike McDaniel calling plays. Oh, he has XYZ receivers. That kind of sounds like stuff that I've been saying. Or he's got all these playmakers. But at the end of the day, you still got to get those playmakers the ball. You've got to be able to prepare each and every week with the same mindset, knowing that you got crazy defensive ends coming around the edge trying to take your head off. There's a lot that goes into it. I mean, I agree with what he's saying. And I've said this too. It's like, what do you just not want to surround him with playmakers and say, show me that you can win without anybody to throw to? The Dolphins getting Tyreek Hill was huge. And it has really helped the growth of Tua Tagovailoa. You got him, and you got Jalen Waddle. That is a nice duo that they got. How many times do I talk about the track stars that the Dolphins have on this offense? Now, where my criticism comes in is Tua and the Dolphins against these better teams in the conference. We look at Tua's numbers from last year. Led the league in passing yards, 29 touchdowns to 14 picks. You want to see the interceptions come down. But had a great year. Where my criticism comes in is, like I said, against these better teams. 0-2 against the Chiefs last year, lost to the Ravens, got swept by the Bills. That's where my criticism comes in, because you look at the stats and you go and you're like, wow, yeah, Tua had a great year, but what did this offense do? What did this team do against some of these better teams? Now, I mean, I don't think it's entirely Tua's fault that the Ravens dropped 50 on him. But, they turned the ball over. And people, nickname him that. Tua turned the ball over. I don't say that, but, that's just how people label him. And what happened when Tyreek Hill got hurt against the Titans? Tua did not look good in that game once he got taken out of the game. The Dolphins were in prime position to win that game, and they blew it. But I think that's where the criticism comes in. When Tua goes up against these better teams. Now, I think he deserves to get, based on the year that he had last year, he deserves to get paid. Now, I would not pay him $55 million a year like a Joe Burrow. Even Trevor Lawrence doesn't deserve the contract that he got. I think he deserved to get his new contract, but not for that kind of money. And the Dolphins, they don't want to give Tua that kind of money. They're trying to work something out where they can meet in the middle. And however much money it is, if it's lower than what some of these other guys got, like Burrow, and even Jared Goff as well. It's got to be below the $50 million. Now, again, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm an expert on the market and things like that, but it's just I just know that Tua. I don't think he should be making the same money as a Joe Burrow. I don't think so. But he's going to get a new contract. It seemed, the Dolphins seem like they want to give him that new contract, just not at the money that some of these other guys have gotten. But, and with Tyreek Hill and his comments, I don't think we should really be surprised with what he has said. Tyreek Hill is Tua's number one supporter, and he's being a good teammate. He's backing up his guy. And that should make Tua feel good that you have Tyreek, your number one guy, on your team, backing you up. giving you your full support. Because you know what? They have had success, in the regular season. Tyreek Hill had a big year, and that was with Tua at quarterback. Now, if it were me, I know Tyreek Hill wanted to get paid, and now he's looking to get a new contract. But, I think I would have wanted to stay with 15 in Kansas City. And I know it's Kansas City. I know it's not, you're not in Florida. You'd be playing in that frigid weather, come playoff time. They played in it last year in the playoffs. Well, this year in the playoffs. But I would have stayed with 15 because I think, like, with how Mahomes is and the run that the Chiefs have gone on, you put Tyreek Hill in that offense, I mean, be unbelievable. I mean, we saw it for a few years, but we could have saw it for longer. But he wanted to go somewhere else. Yeah, that whole offseason, that was just surprising to see Tyreek Hill go to a different team, Devontae Adams leaving. That was strange. It was a strange offseason. You just didn't expect it. But, the Chiefs, it really did not affect them. Well, regular season, maybe. Postseason, they were fine. And again, you had some people saying that the Chiefs wouldn't even make the playoffs when Tyreek Hill left. And look at what's happened. Back-to-back championships. Now, with the Dolphins, I don't think I wouldn't put them in the Super Bowl contender category. I think Tua is what is going to hold them back. Right now I don't look at Tua and say that's a Super Bowl caliber quarterback. And I think it's hard because, again, you play in this tough conference. I mean, this is the Chiefs conference right now. I think it's part of that, but I don't know. I just feel like you have guys around you that elevate you. And, for some teams, that's a problem. Because you want to have the guy that elevates the guys around. Now, I mean, it's hard for, any quarterback to elevate, Tyreek Hill. Because Tyreek Hill could play with whoever and put up good numbers. I mean, yeah, you had Patrick Mahomes. So, yeah, you were kind of on that same plateau, I guess. You're on the same level. Elite quarterback, elite wide receiver. Like, I don't think Tua is elite. But, yeah, it's just those guys in Miami, they elevate Tua. And on top of that, you have a good running game with Raheem Mostert, Devon Achane. But you want to have guys, you want to surround your quarterback with as much talent as possible. And I think this Dolphins team, now we got to see how the defense is. Guys coming back from injury, they had to let go of some guys. How is their defense going to be? But this Dolphins team on paper, they should go out there and be a contender. Get into the playoffs, end this playoff drought. Now, for me personally, I don't think it's going to happen this year. Based on what I've said this offseason. Now, again, my opinion can change throughout the year. But right now, I'm of the mindset that the Dolphins, it's going to be more of the same. Maybe they make the playoffs, but they could be an early round exit. But you know what? Maybe I'm proven wrong. Maybe Tua goes out there, he throws for 5,000 yards. He throws 30-plus touchdowns. He lowers his interception total. Because if we see that, and maybe you beat some of these contenders in the conference, then my opinion will change. And I don't want to be right. Tua goes out there and he proves that he's the guy, and the Dolphins, they make a deep playoff run, and everything I just said happens. And I don't think everything's going to happen. I mean, in a perfect world, yeah, that'd be great to be right. Like, oh yeah, look, passing yards, you passed for 5,000 yards, 30-plus touchdowns. Lower the interception totals. I don't think every single thing I just said is going to happen, but at least a few of those things happen. Like, they get to the playoffs and they win a playoff game, and Tua is responsible for that. That's big. That would be big. So we'll see what happens. But I don't think the Dolphins are going to be the way I'm talking about too. I don't think the Dolphins are going to be a terrible team. I think they're going to finish with a good record. And they will be in contention for a playoff spot. But they got to do more than that. And he's got to do more than that. So, yeah, curious to see how these negotiations go. Does he get a new deal before the season starts? I mean, if they let him play out the contract, and see if he could repeat it and maybe even do better. Because, if Tua bets on himself and they don't come to a long-term deal before the season starts and you go out there and you have a better year than you did last year, well, then the Dolphins are going to have to pony up and give you more money. If they want to keep him, of course. I mean, or they could just be like, yeah, we're good. We're still going to go in a different direction. We'll see. But, I don't know. It seems like, I mean, I'm thinking Tua is going to stay, and they're going to agree on a deal. But who knows? And it's a big year for them. Like if the Dolphins, if the season ends similar to how it did last year, or they just don't make the playoffs, I mean, there's going to be some changes. I mean, could Mike McDaniel be on his way out already? I mean, he is going into his third year. I mean, they're expecting results. Get to the playoffs and win a playoff game. So it's something we'll keep an eye on. But let me know what you guys think about the Tua stuff, about what Tyreek Hill had to say. Again, Tyreek Hill is backing his guy, as he should. He's been a big supporter of Tua's since he got there. Also, if you saw Tyreek Hill's top 5 quarterbacks, there was no Josh Allen, there was no Joe Burrow in the list. It was Mahomes, Tua, I'm forgetting who else. I think Dak was in it. And Lamar was in it too, I think. And then he had Baker Mayfield. He had Baker Mayfield in the top 5. But he did say he's a troll, so he was kind of trolling a little bit. So don't take him too seriously. But, of course, people still reacted to it, even with him saying that. So, yeah. But, yeah, let me know what you guys think, though, about the Tua stuff, what Tyreek Hill had to say. Let me know in the comments. So we are going to take our next break. When we come back, we're also going to talk about Josh Allen. Talk about some things Dion Dawkins had to say about Josh Allen's leadership. So make sure to stick around. And once again, we will be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.